As always, we catch up with Jono to talk AFL. Jono, good to talk again.
Cam, great to hear your voice. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Now, last weekend, Freo remained top of the table with a good win over your Cats.
Yeah, it was a great win by the Dockers, and their inaccuracy in front of goal, particularly in the first and second quarters, probably flattered the Cats and kept Geelong in the game, Cam. They missed shots that normally they would kick, and they went from boundary line either. They were mostly in front of goal where they should have kicked them, and then the Cats would run down the other end and kick one themselves. And the Cats at one point kicked 6 on the trot, Cam, and they were looking pretty good, but it was purely just on the back of Freo missing at the other end.
And the Gold Coast Suns, once again, slumped to another loss, and they're in danger of falling out the bottom of the wildcard round.
Yeah, they certainly are, and that's 4 on the trot losses post-Darwin this year, Cam, so that's their worst record of any of their returns from the Darwin venture. But, yeah, the Hawks are too strong in the end. They were thereabouts the Gold Coast Suns, but just lacked polish and class in the end.
Well, they've got a tough ask this weekend. They're up against the Dockers, but we'll get to that in a few moments. Crows, another win, this time over Melbourne.
Yeah, the Crows have finally got their season going, Cam. As you will remember, I did pick them for the flag at the start of the year, so they've got a bit of work to do. But they're starting to string some wins on the board, and they're looking pretty impressive. And the D's, as we know, they're no easy beats.
Certainly not. Now, the Blues 88, GWS 65. Help me understand what's going on with the GWS Giants this season.
I don't know, Cam. They're probably now turning into, which was, we could say Carlton had been the most disappointing side thus far, but they've gone on to win 5 on the trot under Josh Fraser. But I think the Giants have now taken over the mantle as being the most disappointing return thus far.
And Collingwood 78, 26-point winners over Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide struggling in their first season without Ken Hinkley.
Yeah, they are, but I thought they would have been a little bit closer, and at one point they were probably 3 or 4 goals up on Collingwood in this game. It didn't help big fella Asafa Radaglia going down with an ACL injury during the game. He's a key to their defence. But as we said last week, they have lost 5 games, Port, by under 3 points this year, so they haven't been too far away.
And with the Pies, Darcy Moore, are we likely to see him back this season?
Oh, you just don't know with Darcy. He's in and out, and if they can get him back up and running, hopefully we see him again because he's a key for their defence. But the way he goes, he's likely to do a calf or a hamstring on his return, which has generally been the norm for him this year, the poor fella.
Yeah, that's no good. Now, we spoke about the Suns in danger of dropping out of the wildcard contention, but the North Melbourne Kangaroos, with their win over the Tigers, are now in wildcard contention.
They are. I'm not sure how much damage they can do if they sneak into that spot. I did watch the first half of this game, Cam, before I had to turn it off. It was the most deplorable skill level I've ever seen by both sides. And I think there's been quite a bit of discussion in relation to the first half of this game this week through the media. It just did not look like AFL standard.
Yeah, I suppose I'm talking about the Roos picking up the 4 points, but if you can't beat Richmond the way they're going at the moment, it wouldn't have been good signs. And Bulldogs in the last game of the round, Bulldogs had a 22-point win over Saints.
Yeah, the Doggies got it done. They weren't overly impressive. They jumped the Saints and kicked the first 3. The Saints are they're staring down the barrel at some tough few weeks ahead. Captain Jess Sinclair has done a calf and will miss the rest of the season. Their multi-million-dollar recruit, Tom de Koning, broke 2 ribs and punctured a lung, so he'll be out for a couple of weeks at least. And their other ruckman, Rowan Marshall, who's key to their side, also went down with a shoulder injury, and he'll most likely miss this week as well. So there's some concerns there at the Saints.
What did you say? He broke 2 ribs and punctured his lung?
Yeah, which is I wasn't aware of this, but it's the second time he's punctured a lung in 3 years. So he'll be quite
very painful.
And it sort of takes us back to the Christian Petrarca situation the year before. He actually went back on the ground after half-time, but obviously couldn't cope and off he came. So, yeah, interesting.
I thought you were going to say it took us back to Rick Disnick.
Yeah, well, Daryl.
Buys for the round, Lions, Bombers, Swans and West Coast. Having a look at the ladder, Freo's still up top. Anything else that you think's worthy of highlighting?
I think that my Cats need to be careful from here. There's a bit of a logjam between the Hawks sit on 38 and from 4th down to 7th, all sitting on 36 points. So Yeah, it's starting to get tight, and the Pies are now putting themselves back into contention. You'd think they'd get another win, which we'll talk about shortly. So they might jump into the top 10 if North miss out.
Well, let's talk about round 16, Thursday night, Lions and Swans. It's been played at the Gabba.
Yeah, this is massive. This is a toss of the coin for the round, Cam, this one. I'm going to tip the Lions. There's not a great deal of confidence, but purely the fact they've won the last two flags and they're at home. The Swans have got Tom McCartan back, key defender, who suffered concussion a couple of weeks ago. And they also welcome back their absolute gun, Errol Goulden, who did his shoulder, might have been the second or third game of the year and has missed the last 3 months. And he was actually my tip for the Brownlow this year. So they've got some quality coming back this weekend, the Swans. But I'm just going to favour the Lions and hope they get their season back on track this week.
Well, you've just convinced me to back the Swans there, so I'll go the red and the white. Hawthorn GWS, it's in Melbourne. Hawks, they should win this one given the inconsistency of GWS.
Yeah, they should, Cam. I don't. Hawthorn at their best can beat anyone, and they've got the firepower to do so. As you said, the Giants, they've been battling and they've inconsistent form throughout the season. You know, they really haven't had a settled side throughout the year, which doesn't help either. But yeah, the Hawks will be too strong here.
14 v 16th place on the ladder, but the Blues are going to go into their match against the Eagles as raging hot favourites.
Raging hot favourites, Cam. I think they're about $1.14 at present. So purely the fact they've won their last 5 and they're starting to play the footy that probably the footy world thought they should be doing in the first place, it should be enough to get over the Eagles at Marvel.
And our weekly comment once again is poor old Michael Voss.
Poor old Michael Voss. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And Josh Fraser's actually, has said all along that he's not interested in taking over the job. But with 5 wins on the trot, it's hard to at least not interview him and say, "Are you interested?" So
Yeah.
time will tell.
The G will host Collingwood up against Richmond. Traditional rivals?
Most definitely traditional rivals, but they're neither of these two sides. It was only 2017, 2019, these two sides played off in a preliminary final. So it's not that long ago, but they've obviously both fallen from grace a fraction, more so the Tigers. Obviously went to the draft and tried to rebuild their team that way. But the Pies, when they're going, they look pretty good, Collingwood, and they shouldn't have any trouble accounting for Richmond on Saturday night.
Yeah, if they would get the win there, that pushes them to 30 points and they're right in contention for wildcard.
Most definitely.
Battle of Adelaide, Port Adelaide up against the Crows. It's 5 v 15th, but I suppose you just forget where they are on the ladder when these two teams meet in Adelaide.
Yeah, the showdown is massive, and it's one of my more favoured games to watch throughout the year because it always dishes up some quality. I have a feeling that the Crows are going to get this one done a little bit more comfortably than they usually would, purely on the back of key injuries to Port. But saying that, it is a showdown, and Port generally like to get up for these games. So, yeah, time will tell, Cam, but I think the Crows should be too strong.
And the Kangaroos should pick themselves up another victory this time against the Bombers.
Well, you'd think so, but this could go either way. I was looking at this one earlier, Cam, and I just feel at some point the Bombers are going to win a game, and here's an opportunity for them to do so. Whether it eventuates or not, we'll find out on Sunday. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick the Bombers in. I can't believe it. We're saying will be an upset to defeat the Roos.
Yeah, well, I'll be backing the Roos in that one. And then Gold Coast Suns, their task just gets harder. They're up against the top of the table Dockers.
Yeah, it does. And I feel as though the Suns can push the Dockers for part of this game, but the Dockers will be too strong, too powerful. And yeah, they're premiership favourites now, which I never ever thought I'd hear it say that the Fremantle are the flag favourites, but the headlines over in the Western Australian press, the flag mantle, they're being called. So yeah, they're going nicely, the Dockers. They don't seem to have too many weaknesses on that selection table.
They haven't won a flag yet, have they?
No, they lost to Hawthorn in 2013.
Yeah, okay. That's when they had the Sandilands playing, wasn't it? As the big ruckman?
Lens and Fife and Pavlich, and yeah, they had some quality out there, and that was their opportunity. They were right in that game, but the Hawks got them in the end. So they haven't had a sniff since. So this is their chance.
Round 16 buys Geelong Cats, Melbourne Demons, St Kilda, and the Western Bulldogs.
And we can finally say goodbye to the buys after this round, Cam.
Goodbye, goodbye.
Goodbye, and hopefully there is change in the wings.
Jono, good to chat as always.
Thank you, Cam. Lovely.